So this video is called The Unintended Consequences, or the Grave Unintended Consequences of Enlightenment. And that might sound like a pretty strange premise for a video, but I've been thinking about something, and I can't tell if it's true or not. It's one of those things, you get into a certain realm and you can't really ever say if something's true or not. But the idea basically is that as you become more enlightened, um, the challenges you face start to increase. So, if you can imagine that, say a person is gradually becoming enlightened, and so they have actually imagine enlightenment like a series of increasingly large chambers. So imagine that in the first small chamber is a collection of all a person's problems. And so they have very small problems that they need to deal with. Say, even they're a small baby, and the problems they have to figure out are like how to communicate, how to, not shit themselves, how to see colors, how to see shapes, how to see primitive objects, right? So that's the smallest chamber of enlightenment. So a new baby, all of us, they start in this tiny chamber where their sort of problems are very small. They have to learn how to output communication, and in order to get the right input, usually to their mothers, their moms, right? So then, once they can handle that, right? This infant, right? Once that infant can handle that, then they become enlightened. And they become enlightened to a new mode of being, which is like an input and output mode of being. And so then perhaps they're in their later infancy, right? And in this stage, let's jump ahead. They've mastered their infancy, and then the next chamber is that they learn to use words, but then their problems are harder because they have to communicate in full sentences. So, the small child, the baby, it's able to handle more, but it also has to it has to handle more. It has to handle more consequences, but it also is given more power. It's more empowered. It's more enlightened to the world. And so, let's say we keep going for a while, and the baby becomes a child. Then the child has to, the baby masters, being able to say a few sentences and stuff like that, and they become a child. And then they also have to navigate school or learn their basic rudimentary skills, elementary skills. If we're in a time when we're not in a school system, right, they have to learn rudimentary skills to start to live, like arithmetic or whatever, reading and writing, right? So then eventually a child becomes enlightened in their childhood, and then they're, the challenges that they face become even harder as they become a teen or a young adult. Then they have to be independent, and they have to learn independence. And as they become enlightened to how to survive on their own without the help of their parents, then their challenges increase because they have an entire world to handle, an entire world to navigate, and so forth and so forth. And so my thinking is there's this pattern, and so we get into the life of an adult. um, I would like maybe pause it, or maybe just consider that that continues in your adult life. So as you learn to negotiate more difficult experiences, you become enlightened, and then you graduate to a larger chamber of challenges, of hard things in your life. So, as an adult, say there's a point, or say, there's a point where you can't handle anymore. You reach a chamber of challenges, or whatever. You reach a stage of challenges, and you can't get over them. And so, for a baby who's experienced trauma or something like that, then they're in a state of arrested development. Or even a teenager who experiences trauma, they remain in a state of arrested development, where they can't get over, whatever stage of life they are at, right? So say, like, an adult that can't live without the support of their parents, or something like that. They Their journey of enlightenment has stalled for whatever reason, right? They can't handle the problems they currently have. So, but yeah, more importantly is the idea that after this sort of developmental stages, right? I think, which are commonly in psychology, is that there are then just a large expansion of even more development that is possible. And so, say, you learn to handle how to own a house. Well, then maybe you've learned to like own a house outright, which is not something that's a lot of people have done. Like, say they've reached complete financial independence. So then when you get to that, and you become enlightened to your financial independence, which is not something a lot of people get to reach in their adult life, right? Then what happens is that a new chamber opens up, and they have new challenges, non-financial challenges, like existential challenges, right? So, but then say they learn to master these existential challenges. And I think it's hard to think of that, because, yeah, I keep on saying this, but most people have never experienced that. So then, from these existential challenges, these are even harder than the financial challenges that you've mastered. And then, so maybe you master these steps of existential challenges, but then there's an even larger chamber of different challenges, spiritual challenges, or whatever, that comes after that. And so one of the thoughts that I had is maybe like the challenges we face in life are direct consequences of us being enlightened enough to handle them. So I'll give you a weird example. Maybe the reason culturally that World War II happened is because there was enough enlightened people in a society that they caused an expansion of challenges to happen. So, like, in that way, Gandhi, he, from becoming so enlightened, he in some ways caused the challenges of World War II. Or there was others, like, maybe, I don't know. This is like, see, I'm not that good at history. I need to learn more history, like T.S. Eliot, or no, I'm not. I don't know. But there was people. There was enough enlightened people that society then opened up a new chamber of challenges, and I sort of wonder, maybe that's what's happening now, or like, yeah, like maybe that's like, maybe society, with the advent of the internet and the information revolution and so forth, maybe we've become enlightened, but with this enlightenment, a new sort of stage of challenges is being presented, in the idea of war and uncertainty and climate change and all that stuff. So, if you look at something like prophets that people really like prophets that sorry, that's adding a there is probably not helpful, and you getting to hear this, but like prophets that are traditionally worshipped, the final stage of enlightenment is being persecuted and then killed for your beliefs. Like Gandhi was killed and Jesus was killed. Not that I'm advocating either way, but like that's the story. And there's other stories of these sort of prophets that are killed for their beliefs, right? So that's sort of the final stage of enlightenment and challenges, is that you're eliminated because you've become so enlightened that it's okay that you don't live on a material sort of plane anymore. So I don't know, like in that way, then I kind of think maybe enlightenment is not a good deal. Like maybe in some ways it's better to regress. Like you don't want to become enlightened because it just makes life harder, and maybe it's better to be unenlightened. Maybe it's better to ignorance is bliss. Maybe it's better to be the person that's a screw up and that doesn't ever learn how to handle aspects of their life, so that it never gets challenging. But then the other idea is that maybe also then we, if this premise is true and it's like it's into magical thinking or like religious thinking or something like that, it's can't be proven either way. But say if this is true, then the people who are facing the most challenges, right? The people that we know that are facing very hardships and have a hard life and stuff, maybe we should start to think of them as the most enlightened people in the world. Like that simply because their life is harder than ours, that they are more enlightened, and maybe then we should think of the most vulnerable or the most the lowliest or whatever, like the people that are having the hardest time, that they should be our teachers, that they should be our enlightened teachers, rather than people we shy away from or shun, right? That I think that's common, that we try to a lot of people try to get away from people who are also suffering, right? And I don't know, it's like it can't be really proven either way. It's not something that could quantifiably say yes, this is true or not true. It's just something beyond our sort of realm of reality. It's like it's made up, but it's something people talk a lot about, as the idea of enlightenment and spiritual challenges and stuff like that. So just some thoughts, that I wanted to share about enlightenment. Enlightenment's usually a hard sell on the old YouTube, but anyways, maybe this will find someone who is thinking a lot about enlightenment and truth, or is maybe struggling, and that maybe the positive is that you're being challenged because in some strange way you are on a journey to enlightenment, and that your challenges are providing you with enlightenment that you wouldn't have normally had without those challenges. Okay, thanks for listening, and talk to you soon.